How's it going, New World? Sethphir here, and I was just minding my own business, eating dinner, when I saw some things on Twitter. It's going crazy. Everything is going down right now. Play New World has come out with several tweets with a bunch of hot topic news, as well as the official forums for New World have come back up, and there's some interesting things in there about open beta patch notes. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at all three of those things here in a second. So first we'll go over to the tweet that kind of started it all, and as you can see on my screen here, this is going to be that emails are starting to roll out. So they are sending out emails so that you can start downloading the open beta on Steam. You can get the game fully downloaded. You cannot create a character as far as we know, but you can go into the settings and start messing with your keybinds and get some of that stuff set up, maybe your graphics or however you want to do. So go ahead and check that out, get it set up so that you're ready to go. And as you can see, Twitter's just popping off with it. Likes are going out like crazy, even if we're watching in real time here. So the next thing that we have is going to be the server list. Now, this was also tweeted out as well. So this changes everything. As you can see, I was going to go on Atlantis. Atlantis is now a South American server. I can't go there anymore. So we're going to have to pick something new. I will announce what server my company is going on in the morning once everything settles down a bit and we talk to some of the other companies that were on the same server. So we're going to try to sort that out and figure out where we're going. I highly recommend that you gather your friends and kind of make a plan here because everything's different. So if you take a look at the NA East section and the NA West section and even the EU section, there are a lot of different servers that we have not seen before. Some, very few, are still in the same category, but a lot of them have gotten flipped and moved around is what it looks like. So complete scramble on the names there. So reach out to your friends, reach out to your company members, and try to figure out where you're going for the open beta tomorrow morning. Now, the final thing that we're going to take a look at here, this is going to be updates and release notes. I'll go ahead and put a link to this in the description down below so that you can check it out yourself. But we'll go over a brief coverage of these patch notes so that we can kind of see some of these things going on. So the New World official forums have come back up. So here's what we got. We'll go ahead. World experience, we'll dive right into it. Expeditions, looks like they fixed some issues with just some things getting stuck and, walls not appearing, things like that. This is all great, just good quality of life fixes. We got some world fixes here, interact the range on shape flag, so just quality of life things, frame rates, frame spawns, things like that, lighting and stuff like that. Quests, fix multiple quests around the world that are causing bottlenecks due to large amounts of players attempting the same objective. That is a great one. I remember several people in our company were having trouble, especially as they fell back into that pack trying to get certain things. So fixing that is definitely really nice. Looks like they fixed a couple other bugs and general issues with quests as well. Tech, they fixed those exploits with the town mission boards that were in the beta. That's great. They fixed a lot of other various bugs with housing and NPCs and things of that nature. The AI tuning adjustments, that's interesting. Increased damage scaling for AI above level 50 and above gradual scaling from 0% to 25% at level 66. So it looks like mobs are getting stronger in the end game. Health scaling for AI above level 30 is going up, it looks like. 0 to 15% at 66, so health is going up. So mobs are going to be doing more damage, they're going to be tankier, so just keep that in mind. Open world non-elite bosses, looks like it increased health and damage to bring them more in line with expedition difficulty enemies. So that means that non-boss elites, so these named guys and things like that, or just normal elites, actually, yeah, just normal elites are going to be a lot stronger. So looks like they're getting damage by 10 to 17%, health by 60%. So what does this mean? This means that elite farming just got that much harder. Like when you were with a group in the open world, that may not be an option because health of AI elites by 60% for ogres, corrupted bears, different things like that. So everything is getting more damage. It's going to be more threatening. It might be tankier, so keep that in mind. open world and arena bosses section. And oh my god, there's so many things here. Increase damage for all expedition AI by 13%. So everything. Oh, sorry, I skipped one section. Increase health and damage. Bring them more in line with expedition enemies. Great. Bosses damage is increased by 20%. Boss health increased by 33%. So these are arenas. You're talking the Spriggan, the Siren Queen. You are talking the Protector's Arena and stuff like that. So also the open world bosses. I remember like Bane in the Eden's Grove area and a couple of those other guys. So that's something to look out for. So if you thought the game needed a bit of a buff before, it's here. This is it. It's going to get harder, which is great. The expedition damage is going up, so that means dungeons are going to be harder. 13% extra expedition damage, and they were already hitting pretty hard, so that'll definitely help. I'm imagining that they're keeping an eye on that and tuning in as it goes, so that's pretty good. A couple of notable bug fixes. Looks like they can't transfer boss status effects back to the boss using... Okay, yeah, so just basically some cheesy mechanics where you were able to use some skill to kind of just completely mitigate some of the areas. Arena buff, the Spriggan, they buffed him. He needed it. This man was just... if you saw my Spriggan Arena video before, man, he was really cool, but he just didn't do much. So, looks like he now heals more consistently. He uses his Vine Sweep while his target is in melee range more. He's got more run speed and accuracy of target when movement when chasing a target. Looks like you cannot stop him from doing some of his attacks as well, so that's perfect. So the Spriggan boss is now harder. Definitely nice to see. Moving on, we got more expedition type things. So this is going to be just issues when things are just happening within the expedition where you get stuck. I remember we had a few times where walls would disappear or we would be gated behind something, and that was always kind of a disaster. So glad to see a lot of these fixes come out here. So it looks like everything is kind of getting tuned a little bit within these dungeons and things fixed of that nature. So you can check out the full scale of that. PvP scaling has been reduced. This is a big one. I remember legendary level 15 hatchet players that would be running at level 60s and chunking us. So that's good to see that that's balanced a little bit more. So it says the level difference will matter more in your encounters, meaning that it will take more hits for a lower level player to kill a high level player and less hits for a high level player to kill a low level player, as it should be, because we don't want to see the instance of people making level 15 characters just so that they can smurf and kill a level 60 with full gear. Like, that feels really bad. No one wants to see that. So do you have another thing here? Attribute threshold bonus. So reduced Constitution 250 attribute threshold bonus damage reduction from 80% to 60%. So that's just talking about the special talents that you get at the breakpoints within the attributes. So just specifically for Constitution there. Warhammer looks like it got a nerf. Reduce the hardened steel damage bonus reduction from 20% to 15%. Not too big of a deal. It's a 5% difference. We'll keep going here. It looks like Sword is now going to remove only a single debuff and not all debuffs. That's probably decent because that was a little overpowered. Fortitude has been replaced with Invigorating Bulwark. This passive grants stamina on hit when the Shield Bash and Shield Rush abilities connect. So something to return stamina, decent. Looks like Leaping Strike. Oh, this is great. Frame data, because we haven't seen much of this before. So Leaping Strike startup frames reduced from 16 to 14. So if you're a big fighter player, like maybe Smash Ultimate or whatever your game of choice may be, frame data is just referring to the amount of time that it takes for an action to start going, like to start taking action, right? The point in which that damage comes out or which you start up that animation. So here's Leaping Strike distance has been lowered, so you can't go as far. Counterattack has been modified to be able to stack and obtain a better bonus. You get 3% in power for 5 seconds with blocking attack and can stack up to 5 times for a maximum of 15% in power bonus. And it was previously just 10% for, after you block 1 attack. So it looks like it's nerfed in how fast you can trigger it, but ramped up if you consistently block attacks. So that's nice to see. Life staff. Okay, here's where I'm hoping that they balance some things because, as you guys know, healing is a little nutty. So we'll see how this goes. Sacred protection passive changed to grant 5% increased incoming healing efficiency to all group members, used to grant additional max HP. So looks like that's just I think what was that? The 10% max HP talent. So it's now just 5% incoming healing. Reduce the effectiveness of the fortify from 15 to 10%. So very small nerfs. This should not affect anything. If anything, this top one was a buff because like max HP, yeah, it's kind of good, but effective healing's probably better in the long run. So I'm actually surprised at this. I don't know how that's supposed to be in line with some of the healing in the game that's currently like, making people unkillable to some extent, but we'll see how that kind of pans out. Looks like we'll go into Hatchet now. Berserk duration reduced to 12 seconds, and the cooldown has been increased to 18 seconds. So I agree with this. It was definitely a little bit too overpowered. Berserk players would just have this up constantly, and it looks like they also reduced the heal. It's 10% every 4 seconds. While Berserk is active to a max of 30% health, and before it was 5%, or it was every 5 seconds for a max of 35%. So you're getting 5% less healing, so like a slight nerf on this. I think that's pretty good, as that was quite a powerful weapon. Great Axe is receiving a nerf as well. Reduce the effectiveness of Gravity Well and Yielding Fortify upgrades, so you're going to be 5% less tanky when you get that thing. Reduce the Great Axe Enduring Strike damage bonus from 20% to 15%, so another 5% nerf on that one. And the second hit of Reap no longer has a stagger on it, so that's actually quite huge, because the second hit of Reap adding a stagger was a bit OP because they would pull you in and then add another bonus stagger or mini stun on top of that, and it was just like impossible to get away from a Great Axe player before they chunked you down. So good to see a little bit of those nerfs on there, as the Great Axe did kind of need some tuning. We'll see what all that goes into the future for sure. Bow, reduce effectiveness of Bow Unbreakable Fortified passive from 20% to 10%, so a bit of the nerf on the damage reduction coming out from the bow. Not sure why. That seems like a bit of a random one, but hey, it's there. Chain perks. This is very important. Reduce the number of chain perks chained to another target from 5 to 3. That is a huge nerf to the chain weapons. Before, you used to have chain fire and arcane, and what would happen is people would take these in war and it would just chain all around. It would make lag. It would just do tons of damage. So it's definitely better to see that. Chain elemental perks now only trigger off basic attacks, light and heavy, and have a 2-second cooldown. So it used to trigger off of like dots and just other spells and things like that, and it was too much. So the internal cooldown being 2 seconds and triggering off of actual attacks does bring it more in line with a lot of the other abilities. So instead of being a mandatory perk, this may be a your choice perk, or maybe good in AoE setting. Equipment load updates. So this would be interesting. The 20% damage increase for the light equip load and the 10% damage increase for the medium equip load should also affect the healing output of the character. Should also, or will also. That's interesting wording. Healing is reduced by 20% to account for this. We want the best healer to be in light gear. So healing has been reduced by 10%, or 20%. That's actually huge. It did need to be nerfed. And if you want to get back to that 100%, you need to be on light armor. And that was the problem, was that everybody had heavy armor with full healing, and they could just keep themselves up forever, right? So this should definitely balance stuff in line. Reduce the medium equip load threshold from 15 to 13. Wow, that's huge. And the heavy threshold from 30 to 23. So that's interesting. So you can now, let's think about that for a second, because medium, it's going to be hard for you to get light threshold now. It's going to be harder, so you can probably equip less pieces, and same with the medium threshold. So you can't have 29 pounds of medium now. You can only have 22, roughly 22.9, I guess, if you really min-maxed it. So that means you can equip less big value armor pieces to get that category. kind of advantage. Before, what was happening is people would use 4 pieces of heavy and 1 piece of medium and still get the medium bonus. So this is a gigantic nerf to armor, and it's really, really good. Great job on Amazon on this one, because that was creating a very, very big issue. So now all of a sudden people will have to choose how much armor they want to have on and what threshold they have. I don't know if it's enough to still dissuade people from going full heavy. It may not. We'll see. They might just say screw the 10% damage and just give me all the heavy armor. But I think that it's a start, right? They're in the right direction, and we'll see how it goes. Armor. Oh, wow. Maybe we'll see how it goes right here. Maybe I spoke too soon. Armor. Normalize the weight of protection ratios, physical elemental balance with each armor class. So what does that actually mean? Normalize the weight of protection ratios. That's really interesting. We'll have to see exactly what they're talking about with that, but I think it just refers to how much physical or elemental stuff is on like a particular piece. Increase the armor provided by chest pieces and reduce the amount provided by helmets, so some slight adjustments in the like distribution of where the armor is coming from. Increase the armor granted by balanced ratios to match the total armor provided by physical and elemental ratios. So that just means that some were giving more armor before just because they were lopsided, so now they should all be about the same. And reduce the weight of round and kite shields. That's definitely a good one for people wanting to use a shield. All right, cool. Let's take a look at some of these other ones. Housing trophies, reduced damage bonus against target creature families. So you're nerfing that. Instead of getting up to a 10%, we're going down to half of that. So it looks like they're nerfing like the PvE specific trophies. Potions, let's see, clamping and power fortify boosts. Potions will now be included in the clamping of empower and fortify buffs, 50% max. I am actually not sure what that means. We'll have to get some clarity on that and kind of see what it goes there. But we'll figure that out as it goes in. Elemental damage consumables, so updated the duration effect from 3 minutes to 30 seconds. So these were like the absorption potions that were absorbing fire and stuff like that. Or increasing some of these effects. So updated the effect of consumables to be lowered as well. So it looks like they're nerfing some of these consumables. Creature family absorption. So that's going to be, instead of a 5-minute buff, it's a 20-second buff. So that's interesting. So that's talking about like reduced damage against ancients or damage dealt to you by ancients and things like that. Updated the amount of hits a players can take. Okay, so it used to have a hit cap, so it's going to be lowered. So it looks like all consumables are kind of getting lowered down. All absorptions potions now have a 120-second shared internal cooldown, so that's pretty important to take note of as well. So we're going down. Oak Bomb. Oak Bomb was a thing that basically gave you physical resistance, so it was actually pretty good. So the consumables have been nerfed from 5 minutes to 30 seconds, so it's going to be like a activatable pot rather than a a sort of long duration buff that you keep on. The amount of hits went down and the effect went up. So it's going to be very strong for a short period of time. So this is actually good because that means that these pots are going to be really nice for PvP. Like maybe you go in to dive in and you pop an Oak Bomb pot for 35% physical damage reduction and you just walk in. So I really like this change. This is nice. Siege turrets increase the explosive cannon damage by 30%. Oh my god, it was hitting so hard before. It's gonna wreck people now. That's interesting. Capped repeater max damage fall off at 90% instead of 100%. Okay, a little bit of a nerf there. Repeater damage fall off now starts at 80 meters instead of 60 meters, so it can go farther. So repeaters are gonna hit hard from farther away. Siege weapons. Siege weapon damage is now being mitigated by armor. Wow, that's huge. Okay, so armor matters against siege weapons now. That's insane. Siege weapons increase damage by 20% across the board. So 20% plus 30% for explosive cannon. Cannons are gonna hurt. The cannons are really gonna hurt for sure. That's insane. Moving on, lifestyle buffs. Okay, arcane blessing lifestyle buff corrupted by 20. So man, they nerfed the crap out of that. So that's interesting. That's the town hall buffs, by the way. That's the town hall buffs. So we'll see what that does. Perks. Fortified recovery effectiveness reduced from 30% to 10%. Wow. Keenly fortified effectiveness reduced from 30 to 10. So all these things are getting lowered for the perks on abilities and or items and stuff. Health potions. Increase base health gain from health potions up quite a bit, 43, 600 at the top end. That's quite a lot. And decreases the amount gained on the percentage max. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that you now need higher health potions for them to matter more. That's exactly what this means. So you're not going to get that percent anymore. You're going to get this sort of those weak health potions are going to be less effective. Higher health pots are going to be even more effective. So that's a good change, I think. I think they needed that. Increase the base health regen of regen pots as well. Looks like they nerfed that by half. Just the same thing for health pots, but for regen pots. Encumbrance or endurance pots looks like they have been removed. I think the endurance pot was... Oh, I hope it's not the stamina one, but I think it's the one that gives you extra weight to carry. But, or maybe that was encumbrance. Maybe it was endurance. Maybe that was the stamina one. We'll have to check on that. But if it is the stamina one, that's pretty big because that was probably a pretty good PvP potion. Gems. Looks like Amber Gem. They added something else. Reduce the damage scaling obtained from the Amber Gem. Oh, no, not added something. Sorry, it's just reducing that. When putting attributes into focus by 20% to make the healer's secondary weapon less... Okay, so this is the one I just made a video on where it converts your damage into nature and it goes for the focus. So what was happening was people would go like life staff and then like great axe second with a focus gem in it and just do crazy damage. So it's just nerfing healers' ability to have a secondary weapon that does nutty damage while being able to heal themselves to full. So good change on that. Attribute threshold adjusted the strength 50, 100, and 150 threshold bonuses to prevent damage bonus from being applied to elemental melee attacks. This will only be applied to physical damage. Okay, so they just sorted it out where you can't double dip with like intelligence and stuff. War, small deployables, infernal traps, and powder caves now have a shared deployable limit of 15 per team in war invasion. Oh my god, thank you, Amazon. That's so good. No longer are the days of the infinite minefields around the base and the flag point where you literally had to send in a suicide man to just run through and blow up all the mines. And that's so sad. Or you had to spend forever sniping them all. I remember we had one guy come in, and I think it was Endeavor, so shout out to him. And we were just like, Endeavor, get in there. Just run in and just blow up all those mines with your shield on. And he just ran through there. It was really funny, so interesting stuff to see. Looks like we got a few other notable bug fixes. So it looks like it stops stuff with movement speed where you could be slowed. Stuck on load screen, life staff jump. You can jump when in exhausted state. So there's a lot of bugs where you would get trapped and you couldn't like block dodge and all that stuff. So I'm guessing all that stuff is fixed. Looks like a couple of life staff things. Oh, look at this. Heavy pull passive no longer causes heavy attack to hit twice for Great Axe. Oh my gosh, this is glorious. So no longer will you get one shot by Great Axe users who are the best players in the world. And this is great. A couple other things will be reduced. Looks like Bow got a few bug adjustments. So it looks like it's basically removing things that were not intended to be there and fixing some of those issues, because we did have some instances of like passives doing things that they were not supposed to be doing, right? Like the Great Axe and some of the life staff things where it was like extending buff durations like incorrectly or correctly, and things of that nature. Looks like there is a few more weapon ones, so there's a lot here. I'll let you take a look and you can read the small details if you want. But the notable ones would probably be some of those like extreme bugs like the double hit Great Axe and things like that. Cannons, looks like attacker cannons can be attacked and during the upgrade process for wars. Great. Ice Gauntlet, Ultimate Chill. Oh, hopefully they fixed that Ice Gauntlet thing where you couldn't do the damage while the thing was on there. There used to be a bug when you took the final talent of Ice Storm. Like when you swap weapons, it's just damage didn't happen in the Ice Storm. It was really weird. But it looks like Empire Strike should now go with that. Refresher Strike should add a cooldown reduction. Ultimate Chill should now apply. Okay, so I don't know if it's in there, but hopefully it was fixed. War defenders can no longer use the respawn option to spawn at the rally point before the war has started. Okay, that's good, because that was a bit of a cheeky bug. I remember the gates were opening and we were like, how did they just get out here? That makes no sense. Looks like we got some more notes. Oh my god, we have so many more. This is gonna be a long video. Sorry for that, everyone. Looks like economy and progression rewards. So they added the T4 and 5 Azar staffs with the main story quest. So that looks like the main story quest will continue now. You will need higher staffs for the breaches. Okay, interesting. Reduce XP for town projects. Raw material turn-ins reduced by 25%. Perfect. Refined material turn-ins reduced by 30%. And looks like they just reduced a lot of the materials and lowered the XP. So I guess a fair trade. So basically what you can take away from this is that town boards are nerfed more now than ever. So you will probably have to figure out different avenues to level rather than just setting in the town the whole time and, doing the town board or whatever that may be. So it looks like removed all recipes for endurance potions. We already saw that. Increase the drop rate of named items from expedition bosses. This is nice for rewards. This is very nice. Adjusted the perks on many named weapons to better distribute. Yep, okay, cool. Normalize the perks on all faction weapons and... Oh, good. This is good. Normalize the perks on all faction weapons and armor. So before, Syndicate used to have crit and like damage, and then Covenant got like mana and like stamina, and it was really not good. So it looks like they changed all that, and it's now normalized. That's great. Increase the cost of all faction weapons and armor. That's interesting. Remove socketed gems from all factions and armor. Okay, so that's interesting as well. And it looks like they nerfed the gear score of the faction items from 550 to 535. So this is good, I think. It encourages you to go out and get better gear than just setting in your faction gear, tier 5, and that's it. Call it a day type deal. So I like this. Very good. Looking more onto this, looks like equipment visuals. We're probably not going to look into that. That's not too important. Notable bug fixes. This is going to be some of the other balance changes, so we'll let you look at some of these if you want to. But it looks like it's all general stuff, like some things about outposts, rush, lag detected. Different quests were doing different things that they weren't supposed to be. The limit of the Inferno trap. So it just kind of reiterates a few things there. Fix an issue where siege weapon damage wasn't being mitigated by armor. So yeah, it's just talking about pretty much all the stuff that we saw there up in the top part. So once again, tons of great stuff here. I think this shows a lot of great insight from Amazon in terms of how they're looking at the game. And they do seem to be paying attention to these issues that are causing problems within the balance, right? And I think they've done a great job identifying that with the way they handle some of the healing. And it's not too much of a nerf for now, but it's a decent nerf, and it makes you choose the way that they're handling the armor and trying to lower that down and scale it a little bit better in the weight class for that. That's fantastic changes. Getting rid of some of the issues that some of the weapons had, just being a tad bit more overpowered and tuning them aligned with the other things. And also getting rid of like the major bugs, like double hits and things like that aren't supposed to be happening. So it's nice to see a lot of those things. Good quality of life changements and adjustments to the leveling process, mainly lowering down the town hall and all that stuff. So overall, this patch is fantastic. It's buffing rewards. It's making things harder and more challenging and difficult. It's adding all kinds of depth and variety to the game. And I think that this is a really, really nice patch. Hopefully all these patch notes stay the same. So I will just add a small grain of salt. This post was technically 8 days ago. They just opened the forums, so I don't know what happened here. But some of this stuff could be different. We could wait and see a full official patch note. But I'm assuming that a lot of this stuff here is probably going to be what we're going to see in the open beta patch notes. So I know this was a bit of a long video, but thank you for sticking with me till the end. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll try to keep updating you with everything that's going on as it happens. And if you enjoyed the content and the channel, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, as that does go quite a long way. Thanks for your time, everyone, and we will catch you in the next video.